Hello and welcome to Echelon. Now, joining us today is Ramesh Shanmuganathan. He's no stranger to most of you, but just by way of a quick introduction, Ramesh is the Chief Information Officer of John Keells Holdings, and he's also the Chief Executive of John Keells IT. John Keells IT is a firm within the larger JKIT group that serves both internal and external clients. Uh, Ramesh is joining us to talk about innovation and also about the size of companies, right? Our topic today is innovation. Does size really matter? Now, people normally assume that little startups are more innovative than big firms because big firms are slow and bureaucratic sometimes. But is this an oversimplification? That's the main question that we have for Ramesh today. Hi, Ramesh. Welcome.
Sandra.
We are living in a disruptive time. There's a pandemic still ongoing and economic growth is low. And companies are trying to adapt to this. Is this also a time that's relevant for innovation?
Definitely, I think this is a more opportune time than any other, because why I say so is, if you look at, I think this pandemic has been pretty unique, that it has hit the entire world, and I don't think there has been never a playbook that anyone has as to how to deal with this, right? So I always a firm believer that uh, when you faced with challenges like this, it's also a great opportunity for you to look at solutions beyond the normal cookbooks, right? And then also see whether there are opportunities where you could really leverage something to do something differently, right? So if you even look at, I'm just saying, take an example, right? I think if you're opening a retail store, everyone will say three things which matter is the place, right? Today, pandemic rewrote that entire assumption, right?
Sure.
You don't need a place.
Mm.
All you need is a vehicle and a brand that is known and a good product or a service that you're offering. And as long as you're on a platform which can reach the audience, you're good enough. You could even, your place could be a home, your kitchen in the backyard,
Sure.
right? So that's the whole assumption which pandemic really kind of nullified and said, hey, go rethink, reimagine, remodel your way, because today all the traditional cookbooks are getting rewritten, right? So that lies the opportunity for a company, whether big or small, to really reach out of their way and look at the opportunity in afresh in the context that pandemic has imposed on us. See, I would think it's a lot of people tend to look back at traditional companies who are big and say like I think the Luger's book Elephant Can't Dance, right? But obviously it is not about whether you're big or small. It is about the company's intent, about the leadership, about the company's culture.
Ramesh, can you talk about the importance of leadership, particularly in pursuing innovation in a large corporate setting? You suggested it to us that it needs structure, it needs an approach. It cannot be random. Does How does one provide the leadership to do something like that in a large company?
That is the most challenging part, I would think, and that is where I think for probably the answer to your question in terms of whether size matters. It's not about size; it's about the leadership. So we, as traditional corporates, have been very comfortable with linear value chains. That's why we go to backward integration, forward integration, because we want to be in control of the entire value chain, right? So today, that premise is getting questioned big time, saying, can you concentrate your assets and resources on the value ecosystem which you are good at and partner for the rest and create a value ecosystem, right? That's a very compelling opportunity that all of us have to look at. So that really answers the leadership, right? It is bringing you out of your comfort zone where I have been in control of all of this. Now, all of a sudden, hey, I know I can do something different, but I'm not comfortable because I don't know. There are a lot of unknowns, right? And I'm depending on someone else to perform for me to do my business, right? That's the challenge I think a lot of business leaders are facing. So that comfort factor of not being in control and be trusting another business to co-innovate and co-create into the value, creating the value ecosystem, is becoming the challenge the leadership is trying to conquer with, right? And because it's beyond your control, right? Now, if it's your team, you can say, hey, this needs to get addressed, or you can say, I can hire a few guys and solve this. I can bring different resources. He is not the case, right? He is a total external partner. You have to believe and trust that he is going to live up to your expectation.
And can I ask you how this is taking shape at John Keells, both in terms of setting up the ecosystem, the culture to do leadership, and obviously it's a very large company. How is it shaping up in terms of?
We started this open innovation program way back in 2015, right? So we understood that this is not going to be easy change. We even studied companies like GE, how they took on transformation. So we had a lot of planned interventions in terms of bringing innovation as a culture, getting people comfortable with this, because we are on 3 iterations of incubator, right? So we co-funded. First round when we did it was just a prize money. Second round when we did, we just invested in any business, even if they have no relevance. Third time we looked at relevance to our business. Now we are looking at getting to the thing of joint incubation, maybe early startups. Whether should we be setting up a corporate venture capital, right? So the whole equation, we started people to get comfortable with it, and we had a Chairman's Award for disruptive innovation, which is 4 years in the running, because we wanted people to challenge themselves. So and we wanted them to be recognized, so that they also felt that this is something that the organization is expecting them to do, right? So it is about setting the tone, making them feel that this is the expected norm, then an unexpected thing, and this has to come into a DNA, right? So now, 5 years in the running, I think we've come a long way. But as I said, there's a lot more to get done, because as you said, we are a big organization, and obviously pollinating a lot of young blood, the startup ecosystem, these companies coming in and being so aggressive in terms of their growth and challenging our assumptions helps us to also change our perceptions.
Anything you think you need to add to round this off?
So I think the other one I wanted to touch base was the culture, right? Okay. So the one of the bigger things I see, if you look at for innovation to be successful, I would kind of point to 4 things, right? People and the culture, right? Because you have to have people who come and challenge you, right? The status quo, right? A lot of the time, in a corporate setting, we don't like to be challenged. Second one is quick decisions, right? Mostly in big organizations, the structure is very hierarchical. In startup, it is not, right? So if you look at Google, though they are big, they have this concept called microcells, right? So within the microcell, they have the entire empowerment to make decisions and run with things, right? Unless something drastically goes wrong, right? So how do we empower people at the grassroots to carry on with the agenda with minimum escalation in terms of approvals, right? So that is the second aspect. How do you break through these corporate structures and strictures and empower people to be innovative and give them the ability to make decisions, and even if they make mistakes, learn from it, move on, right? Third one is risk appetite, right? As I said, most people are risk averse, right? And by nature, why? Because obviously they will say, if this fails, it will get pinned on me, right? So how do I then create a safety latch for people, saying, hey, this is expected. Taking the risk is expected. Failing is fine, like venture capital. You have 10 ideas, I'm only expect 2 to succeed, not all 10, right? But at least be clear that some part has to succeed, right? But failure is not bad. As long as we can learn from it, move on, we can make this happen.
That was indeed an insightful chat. Thank you, Ramesh Shanmuganathan, for...
Thanks, Ramesh. Nice talking to you again.